Welcome to My Thoughts, Tiri kungo taura nyaya, which translates to we are just talking or we are just having a conversation. Before I get into the topic of today, I had to move and my mic is not stationary, so I am hoping that it doesn't like fidget and make noise as I move around and like read my paper to make sure that I'm on topic. So I do apologize for that beforehand, because I know it can get annoying when you're listening and like someone's fidgeting, and I'm going to try my hardest to stay still because I am prone to just wanting to move as I talk with my hands and talk with my full body. But yes, let's get to it. So I was listening to videos about the power of prayer and how God will supply all your needs from Nia. I think it's Nia's rather than Naya's or Nia's unfiltered ministries. I'll post the link on the description like below. And today see, that noise has started already. So the topic of today is going to be faith. And after watching these videos, I'd started the day, or even maybe the past 2 days, I was like, oh my God, being an entrepreneur is like, it comes with its challenges. And like, the only thing that can really get you through it is having faith and having this unshakable, almost delusional belief that what you are doing is worth it and will work it out. And I believe those moments of success, when you do have them, those wins are things that you should always remember along your journey, because the rejection is plenty. And it can feel like the rejection is too much, but then you will get that big break. I've had experiences like that completely is life changing. So back to the videos that I came across. So what stuck out to me was when one of the people that was in the video, because it was like a compilation of like different people that had spoken about their testimonies or had spoken about their experiences, or just sharing like a word of like encouragement. And yeah, the first one, not the first one, but I've listed the things that stuck out to me. So one of them was like, stop fighting the call of entrepreneurship. And this lady and this gentleman had basically like discussed in their testimonies how this lady had like worked, and I resonated with this, had worked in these toxic workplace environments where there's like this playground behavior where people have like, there's a clique culture, and having these toxic leaders, and just knowing that this is not for me, whether it's like consistently like quitting or like resigning because they just know that this isn't for me. And I found that when I was in workspaces, I was always like, I'm a leader, like I know that I'm a leader, and I would always think about how the leadership that's in the workspace is not potentially in alignment with not just the business goals, but like how the employees are being treated, and how I would carry out those duties was I the leader in that workspace. And another thing that came up was like trusting in God, your creator, higher powers, ancestors, like trusting in the higher power that placed you on this earth, because God always does provide. And I know by my own experiences, like whenever I've asked my creator's always provided. Whenever I've really earnestly thought, I really want this thing, and even though my human form wants it, I know spirit knows what's best for me. And I know that is what is meant for me will come my way. And this had happened because I must have had a conversation with my mom a couple of days ago where I was like, oh my God, I can't even remember what it is to fast, because fasting was such a big thing in my life, like growing up. Like I would fast a lot when we were still under I call it a cult now, but like but like it was my pastori, like an apostolic church. I call it my pastori because that's how you say it in my culture. My pastori. It's like, I think when you say it in English, it would be apostles, maybe apostolic church. It's like where you wear all white and stuff like that. But anyways, that's a topic for another. I was gonna say that's a topic for another discussion. I don't know if I said that right, because my English is not Englishing right now. But yeah, and when I used to fast, like I love that feeling of like really having to pay attention to your words and what you are digesting mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Because when you fast, you really want to not exert your energy on things that are not going to allow you to be able to carry on, especially when you're working and fasting. Because I saw the power of negativity the most when I fasted, because I did not want to be in those spaces, because it felt like someone is like literally shooting me and taking away my energy every time I listened or partook in things that were negative. And whenever I fasted, it could be a psychological thing, because I do understand the power of your subconscious mind and how your subconscious will bring you things that you believe. I really believe when you really take yourself away from the desires of your flesh, how miracles happen, because you're now able to be aware of things that are not of the physical. And I'd met a really good friend of mine, and she was telling me how she'd done a 3-day fast, also known as the Esther fast in the Bible, and like how it's just a dry fast, no food, no water. And I was like, oh well, I've been thinking about doing a fast, and recently thinking about entrepreneurship and just thinking about my journey, and like really thinking about the things that I'm wanting for 2025. I feel like fasting is something that I really need to get back into, because I recognize the powers of it, because I think at certain points of your life, different things work. Sometimes, it could be just a thing where you're praying around the clock, or sometimes it could be a situation where, you're doing your affirmations, you're doing your meditations. But I was like, I want something that is like, hey, yo, I've written something down, I've set the intentions, and I want to see the evidence of that. And for me, I feel like fasts always do that for me. And I've noticed that, like, obviously, having shaky faith, that was also a topic. Having shaky faith happening, and my faith wavering, because when you have a normal 9 to 5, there's that idea, and there's that, not even just idea, there's the experience of stability. We live in a society where bills have to be paid, food has to be eaten and consumed, and the economy thrives on workers, thrives on making money. And even this lady in this video discussed that, where she was like, listen, I was so used to having the comfortability and stability of having a guaranteed paycheck, that it became very difficult to then have faith. And I hadn't written this down, but these thoughts are coming to mind now, where it's like, back in the day when we didn't have these distractions that we have, you had to turn to your faith. Because when we think about the times when, let's go back to the times when people believed in astrology, or people believed in a higher force, or very much more in tune with energy, and very much more in tune in maybe biblical times, or times in the Quran that I spoke about in the Quran, or correct me if I'm wrong, the Kabbalah. We were more likely to have faith, because we had this knowing that we were not, as humans, capable of creating a planet. We were not capable of creating and mastering the beauty that we see. And I think the more that we developed mentally, the more we started to believe that we were the ones that had more power than the force that brought us onto this earth. And because of Google, now we believe that everything is answerable on Google and found on Google, when we have to remember that it's a human being that has programmed that information and sourced and placed all that information on the search engine. It's just a small fraction of knowledge, a literal dot in the ocean, a raindrop in the ocean, literally a grain of sand in the cosmos. That is the knowledge that we know. And yeah, like, faith wavers when there's no evidence in the physical. And in a way, this was a reminder that higher powers will always provide, and it's important to stay faithful, and watching content that encourages and moves you closer to belief, and the realization of the prayers being answered. So let's say you're praying for a new job, rather than listening to the news and listening to people discuss how, we live in such trying times, and how life is so difficult, and how, there's so much like competition for things. Having that belief that God, or your creator, or higher powers or ancestors are going to provide for you, because you were placed on this earth by a creator, and that creator placed you on this earth to fulfill a prophecy, whatever that may be. And that is your goal for being here. So why would that creator not help you, if you were to go to that creator, and having that faith to communicate? And I remember there was also a section in the video where the gentleman discussed how robots gonna take over. They're gonna take over. And he was talking about the importance of being an entrepreneur, and I felt like these videos were really speaking to me because speaking to me. Pardon me, I just dropped my paper. They were really speaking to me because I was like, being an entrepreneur, I need to hear this. And it felt like every single video after this lady had been speaking about like God always supplying, and how God had supplied for her rent when she didn't have the money and the job, and has a specific amount of money in her account. Pardon me. I thought about my testimonies when I've not had money in my account. Like, I remember a time when I was sofa surfing and I was homeless, and a homeless man bought me lunch. A homeless man that I just struck up a conversation with, and we had this amazing conversation about like where he came from, his family, and he was just like, I just want to go inside Sainsbury's. Are you hungry? And I remember being so dumbfounded, like it really broke down those perceptions and those ideologies of homeless people, for one, stereotypically homeless people, and what society likes to conjure up so we don't help one another. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And going back to this man, he was like, we're living in a society where you must be an entrepreneur, because you have to be an entrepreneur, and stop ignoring the call of being an entrepreneur, because like really think about what service can you provide that has a human touch, is what I started to think about. Because if these robots are going to take over, you have to think about how robots are more efficient than staff, because staff members mess up. And like when you think about overhead costs, and you think about like having to provide these services where you are making sure that humans are looked after, and like you're making sure that like they have breaks, and you're making sure that they're paid efficiently. Imagine replacing all of that with robots where that they're going to do the job efficiently. All you're paying for is the service for these robots to keep providing you the service, and they're going to provide a amazing customer service because they've been programmed to. I mean, that's if obviously we get to that Black Mirror type stage. But he was talking about how how many times that people complain about the service that they've received, and how we're living in a society where mediocrity seems to be the thing, and people don't go the extra mile. And if you have a robot, that changes everything. And he was like, y'all gonna regret like the service that you've been facilitating and providing to people, because your position's going to be taken. So what can you do, whether it's content creating or providing a service that a robot can't provide, and then when I then listened to that, and then I started to write down these points, I then thought about how I was born. Like, I was born by faith. My grandmother, from my paternal side, gave me my name. So my name is Rimbo, which translates to faith. And my mom always talks about how she feels as though it's like very I don't want to say is mystical the right word. It's very like fitting, the fact that it's as though my grandmother knew that I was born by faith. I'll talk about this in detail in another video. Hopefully I can get my mom to explain the story. But it then made me think, especially when I was walking and I was just having these moments of insight where I was like, my life is one of faith, and I'm being reminded to go to my creator for answers, and my ancestors for answers. And that's where my prayers should be directed, because no man can answer my prayers unless God delivers my my prayers through them, because man only like acts out what God has told them to do, even though we believe that it's like, oh, they've done it themselves. And it's like, no, whether you're using the law of attraction, the universal principles of life, I say God because obviously the energy that governs the universe, whether we call it God, creator, universe, that's what I'm addressing. Ancestors, that's what I'm addressing. All that is and all that ever was, that's what I'm addressing. And like living your life in faith, living your life in the knowing that you were brought here by a power, and you're gonna go as a result of that power. There's nothing that you can do as a human being to stop yourself from leaving this earth. we have this belief that, because my alarm went off and I woke up this morning, it's your doing. It's not, because once the creator says, I'm taking my power, I'm taking my energy back, and I'm taking my spirit back, it takes that spirit back. And like, how many times have you been around someone or been around a person that has passed on and has moved on to the next chapter of life? Have you made noise in a room and they don't wake up? They don't acknowledge that. They're not like a sleeping person that's gonna just wake up. And I'm here to not just encourage myself, but to also encourage you to be faithful and to trust that what you're desiring will happen. Yes, things happen in divine timing, but the only way things can happen faster and prayers can be answered faster is by tuning into that knowing and surrounding yourself in spaces that allow that prayer to be answered, from the things that you are watching, hearing, the conversations that you're having with people. Even if it means you have to detox from certain people, conversations to get that prayer, then do that. Because even if it's doing what is it called? Affirmations consistently, to the point where you are programming your mind that this is going to happen, delulu, knowing that what I want is going to happen. I can't tell you what to manifest. You know what's right and wrong, and what causes harm to others and what doesn't. So you can make that judgment. But without making this too long, if you're in the same boat, where you are wanting something to happen and you are wanting faith, more faith, then keep believing. Know that you're not alone. We're all trying to figure out how to connect to our creator, and what's the best thing. And you can only know by actually going on that journey as an individual. And all is well. And continue on that path of knowing that what you want will happen. And that path of entrepreneurship, if you've been called onto that path, keep walking on it, because there will be rewards. And it's like, opportunity often comes disguised as misfortune. This is a quote in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. How many times can you get back up when you fall? And I feel like also there's a chapter in that, or like a piece on that in Think and Grow Rich, where it says it's almost like failure rejoices, or the spirits of failure rejoices. It's a trickster. It wants to see how bad you want something. Do you really believe in that thing that you are wanting? And the moment that you keep going, no matter how many times you get those lashes and you're like, do you know what? I believe in a higher power. Come at me, bro. It will eventually give up and give you what you want. And imagine the person that you become through those trials and tribulations. I had this conversation with my friend today. It's not about what it is that you want, it's the person that you become as a result of wanting that thing and working towards getting that thing. And sometimes I feel like maybe the creator wants to know, are you about business? Are you really going to stand on business? Do you really want that thing that you want? That's the truth. Do you really want it? Or are you just talking about how you want it? Like, let me know. That's what I think. But yeah. Welcome to Air My Thoughts. I want to know, before I end this, I want to know what your opinions are. I want to know what you think. I want to know what your testimonies are. I have a lot of testimonies, and I'll definitely make a video about this at some point, about my testimonies and those reminders. It's important for you to remember the testimonies and the moments where you've asked and you've received. Remember them. But yes, welcome to Air My Thoughts. Tiri, taura, nyaya, which translates to we are just talking / we are just having a conversation. That's what we are doing at the end of the day.